Hey folks, so here's a look at the new pre-release that arrived just last week. So that was the 20th of March, and it's all about the UK energy and tidal. Okay, tidal energy is what the big question will be at the end, which I expect will be your 12 marker. So should it go ahead or not, this new tidal barrage? Now the pre-release is broken into three parts, so figure 1, figure 2 and figure 3. So what I'm going to do is just really quickly summarise each part of the pre-release so that you can use your pre-release booklet and this infographic to just help you remember the key facts, because in the exam you're not going to want to be reading the booklet at great length. That will use precious time. So hopefully by just looking at this, it will just give you those key facts that you need when the questions come up. So first things first, UK energy supply. So that's what figure 1 is all about. It's actually kind of about supply and demand, but we'll come to that. So what you need to know is the UK uses energy, so the use is the consumption of energy for multiple different things, but I'll give you the top 3. So the UK uses its energy for, and then if you draw a house and a person, a truck, and like electricity, like lightning bolt, Wi-Fi symbol, and a water droplet. Okay, so the big uses. Okay, you've got domestic. This is a huge one. That means people, houses, it's washing machines, it's showers, it's heating, it's lighting, charging your phone, TV and so on. Okay, then you've got transport, and that's everything to do with all types of transport, not just road, so rail, planes, boats, trains, the lot. And then services, so bringing you services like electricity, water, internet connections. We need energy to power all of those things. Now, we do not have loads of our own supply of energy. In fact, that's probably the most key thing I can tell you here is the UK is energy insecure. We do not have energy security. So we have types of energy that we can use and we can create, and then we have to buy in other surplus energy because we don't have enough. So, so the UK gets energy from, okay, so the biggest one, if you draw black drip, is oil. Okay, oil, I know it's a fossil fuel. We did find lots in the North Sea. We still use oil a great deal for creating energy. So that's 40% of our energy needs. Then the next one is gas. Again, fossil fuel gas we're talking about here. And that's 36%. Okay, so these are big numbers. Renewables, I'm just going to draw like a leaf here. These basically are types of energy that will not run out. So renewable energy should keep going forever, provided it's sustainable. Yeah, there's different types. So 15%, okay, of our energy comes from renewables. Now that figure's a lot higher for electricity, but for energy, okay, overall, it's quite low, 15%. We've got 2 more, nuclear, and we've got coal. So nuclear is 6%, and yeah, coal, really old-fashioned now, using coal. We barely use it at all. Most of our mines will close now, and that's 3%. Okay, so that's where we get our electricity from, and that's what we use it for. Now, if you just draw me 2 arrows, we've got a big arrow going up, and then we'll have a smaller arrow going down, slightly smaller. So what we need to remember is there are high imports. Okay, we are importing high amounts of energy, and this is due to, so high imports of energy And this is due to a reduction in our domestic supply, so our own supplies, okay, of oil and gas. Okay, so that's due to a reduction. So back along we did have a fair bit of oil and gas, but that ran out. So yeah, reduction in domestic supplies. And you can have a look at the pre-release to have a look at the data on that. But that's a key point. Okay, there's high imports of energy because we just don't have enough. Now, smiley face. There is some good news. Okay, solar. Let's draw a sun. Solar energy, and the other one, I'm going to try to draw a wind turbine. I know they don't look exactly like this. In fact, one of my students said to me it looks like a palm tree, but it's supposed to be a wind turbine. Wind power is certainly on the increase. Okay, it's improving all the time. The technology is getting more accessible and cheaper, and the same with solar power. Although we don't use as much solar power as we do wind power. So let's just remember that these two are contributing extra electricity which we can use in the grid, okay, and for all those things that we mentioned earlier. Right, figure 2. So let's just draw kind of a straight line down here. There we go. It's not too bad. Right, figure 2. What's figure 2 all about? It's about renewables, okay? It's still on energy, and I love this topic. I think it's a brilliant topic. There's a lot of things this pre-release could have been about, and it's a good thing that it's renewable energy because it ties in if you're doing the energy topic in the UK, which you all should be, and it's really helpful if you're doing energy around the world. While we're at it, let's just put another line. Just try and give myself enough room here. Another line down there. Okay, so we're going to do figure 2 and figure 3 quickly. Right, so figure 2 is all about renewables. So if you just write renewables in a kind of like a spider diagram like this. Right, the biggest renewable that we currently have is biomass. Now, if you're not sure what this is, I really urge you to look at a video on YouTube. It's not complicated. It's just using plant and animal materials, mainly a waste, and burning it to creating a gas from it and then burning it to make electricity. But I could have explained that better. Basically, have a look online on YouTube, and it will show you what it's all about. But biomass is huge. So things like your waste from your kitchen, kitchen waste, that can be incinerated. They can create gas from that and burn it to create electricity. And it's actually quite clean. Wind, okay, 28%. So nearly a third almost. And then we get into the smaller ones. So these are the two big ones. We'll put a star next to those. And then the UK does have solar, we mentioned earlier, but you'd probably be surprised to find it's only 5%. Where I teach, there's quite a lot of solar farms you see when you're in the train. But yeah, it's only 5%. Heat pumps, outsourced heat pumps, they're becoming more popular, 4%. Okay, and the smallest one, and this is interesting because it's the smallest at 2%, is hydro. Now that's interesting because obviously this pre-release is going to talk about tidal power, which would fall under hydro. So I think, yeah, that's an interesting point. Are they going to bring that up possibly? In the past, it's always been very expensive and therefore not commonly used. Now we're going to look quickly at the advantages, okay, of renewables on one side, and then we're going to look, put a little sad face, the disadvantages on the other. Now, I strongly feel this question is going to come up. I think it's going to be something based around the positives and negatives of renewable energy. Correct me if I'm wrong, it might well not come up, but if it does, because they have given quite a lot of room to this in the pre-release, be ready with your points. So let's do the advantages first. It is, or they are, sustainable. Very often renewables will be able to keep going forever. under the right conditions. They're clean. Okay, they're not 100%. In fact, we're going to put cleaner. Okay, low air pollution, not no air pollution. Okay, they create jobs. That is also true of fossil fuels, but yeah, create lots of jobs, and they are cheaper. Okay, now it depends which one we're talking about because the cost varies, but they are certainly cheaper than kind of traditional power stations. Certainly, that says power stations. Certainly cheaper than nuclear energy. Right, they're more stable in terms of energy prices. As we know, energy prices can fluctuate by the minute almost, certainly by the hour, definitely by the day. So they are more stable. Okay, I'm going to put in there more stable energy price. And finally, let's not forget the UK isn't energy secure, and having renewable energies on our own turf, as it was, in the sea, on land, gives us energy security. So it creates energy security, okay, which means we don't have to buy it from other places, other countries. Now, there are some disadvantages. The main one is they're quite weather dependent. That means if we don't have a windy year, we don't make as much electricity from wind power. It's that simple. Very often they need a lot of space. That's a bit of an issue because, as we know, land costs money and it can be used for other things, so it's difficult if they need a lot of space. There can be some environmental disturbance. That's wildlife habitats, really. A lot of people were worried about birds, for example, with wind turbines. And then finally, it's a cost issue. So put pound sign and an arrow up. It's only the initial cost. So initial cost means like the cost it is to make it. So the initial setup cost is high. Okay, figure 3. Now, figure 3 is the last 2 pages, but it also slightly creeps into figure 2, which is unusual this year, but that's how they've done it. So the last section of figure 2 also has Morecambe Bay Tidal Energy Project. So basically, I'm going to summarise this right down. I think the question will be something along the lines of, should the new tidal gateway project go ahead? It will be a decision-making exercise, yes and no. So I'm going to pop that question in there. It won't be written exactly like this, but it could be similar. Should the new tidal gateway project go ahead? Now, the pre-release is quite difficult to read. It's I think another teacher put it through a test and it came out around age 17, reading age. So you have to look around for the information for this one. I have done that. I've summarised it and I've created a list of reasons why yes, it should go ahead, and then we're going to look at the no's, okay? And then I'm going to leave it to you to decide which ones you want to use and to create your conclusion. It's your choice. At the end of the day, you're not going to write about everything. You don't need to get full marks, but you can choose the ones that you think are most important and most memorable. So reasons why, these are the main reasons why it should go ahead. It's going to provide 100 years of clean energy. Okay, clean energy. That's a long time. Okay, it's worth noting. Draw a house. It's going to power about 2 million homes. Okay, now that's a lot. That's the same as a nuclear power station, but without messing with nuclear power. It's pretty amazing. The next thing is it's going to give 13,000 people jobs, which is fantastic, especially as we're in the north. Remember the north-south divide and the lack of employment opportunities in some areas. This is exciting news. It's really good news. Not only that, there will be new transport links. So this is going to be amazing at connecting areas that previously would have taken an awful long time to get around. I think it's going to reduce journey times by 75%. Really good news. And then there's the financials. Now, there's a lot of numbers in the pre-release. I can't expect they're going to want you to know all of them. So I went for the biggest. Just thought I'd use that one. 20 billion was what was quoted. 20 billion pound boost to the local economy, which is fantastic. It's hard to even put that into words, and the reason they think that is through industry. Okay, so I'll just put that there. Not only that, there's so many positives. Flood protection. So you just draw a wave, so it can cope with rising sea levels, it can cope with storm surges. Brilliant. And then if you just draw some waves like this, tidal power is reliable. Every 6 hours, the tide changes. Okay, it's not set; it moves forward every day around about an hour, but it's completely reliable, and it's the same every month. Depending on whether it's springs or neaps. I don't think they'll expect you to go into that much detail, but it is incredibly reliable compared to wind, and obviously it's going to produce all this electricity. Now, you'll see I have slightly more yeses than I have no's, and I've done that on purpose because I think you need to lean into one slightly more. You want to give a balanced opinion. You want to say yes, why it should go ahead. You want your however section with your no reasons, and then you want your conclusion. But my personal argument would be that it's a good idea. Okay. However, let's not sugarcoat it. There are some issues. The 10 billion setup cost is the biggest one. That is huge money. That's in the nuclear power station price range. It's it's a little bit less than nuclear power actually. It's more like 50 or 60 billion, but it's big money. It's 10 times more expensive than wind. And we know that wind power is really working, and we could have more turbines. That would help. The time it's going to take, just drawing a little clock there, it's going to be 25 years to build. So it's a bit like the HS2. It's sort of going to go on for quite a long time, and let's hope they don't scrap it if it happens. What else we need to say? It's going to affect local. So there's an environmental impact, strong environmental impact. That's supposed to be a fish, by the way. It's going to affect local fishing, and let's not forget this is underwater, so let's draw some water. Materials can degrade. Pretty much nothing like seawater. It's really corrosive, so materials degrade in seawater, which means it's going to be expensive and difficult to maintain. The other thing that's going to be affected, not just the fish, but on land, this is a really pristine wildlife environment. A lot of overwintering birds. You can try and draw a bird. That's the world's worst bird, I'm so sorry. There we go, let's give it an eye. Okay, that's terrible. Have a better go than me. But yeah, there's marine habitats that can be affected, okay, the birds. So there's potential damage, okay, and there's things they can do about this. They can make wildlife reserves in other places, but marine habitats will be disturbed. Okay, no avoiding it. Right, there you go. Really quick roundup. Hope it's helpful. Best of luck with this year's exams. Super proud of all my students. They're amazing. And I'm really proud of everyone else that's putting their time in and getting the revision done and really working. So well done and good luck.